Well, what can I say? I mean, a year of online league racing. It's something that personally I didn't think was going to be possible. I thought this, among many other things I've done in my lifetime, I thought this would be another failure in that regard. I've done voice acting, making my own series and all that kind of stuff, anime, non-anime, game-related sort of stuff. Aspirations to one day be an actual race car driver, which, at the time, probably silly pipe dreams, just, things like that. Things that I haven't accomplished. I thought initially that a lot of the stuff happening with the Trans-Nation Formula 1 would be one of them, but to survive a year, not only with a handful of videos and all that kind of stuff, with probably not as much views as one would think would be good for someone that's been in the game for over a year now, but to have a community of over nearly 60 drivers, 60 players playing the game for fun and for competitive stake, it's something I didn't really think was possible. It's just an unbelievable turn of events that I just could not have foreseen, to be perfectly honest with you. It started basically, my passion for online racing kind of started back in 2013 when I purchased my first game in about 6 or 7 years. Gran Turismo. Well, actually, no, it would have been the last game before. It would have been about the last racing game I'd bought prior to. I think it would have been Gran Turismo 5 probably. But anyway, it was F1 2013, and the last F1 game I remember playing was F1 2001, and this was back in the PlayStation 2 days, so it's quite a while. So, and we had lost coverage of the Formula 1 Grand Prix for quite a while, so I'd kind of forgotten about it for a while, and then watching, playing it again kind of made me remember what I was missing, and then just, upon release of every new F1 game that came out, I was playing it. And around about between the 2013-2014 era was when I met Mackenzie Stewart and Alex Little, who you've come to know in the championship quite a lot. They, of course, battled for the GP2 title last season, and then, of course, I also met Michael Poland there as well. Big Mike 46385, as you probably come to know him, good friend. He's been there. We kind of lost touch after a while, but once the Trans-Nation Formula 1 got underway, he was very quick to come back into the picture, and he's done a really good part in it in his competitiveness. Definitely learning through the ropes, even though he's had very little time to practice, like many of us all, with jobs and all that kind of stuff. But, he's been there through thick and thin, and couldn't be more grateful to him. So, come last year, just been out of a rocky relationship, moved out of the house I'd bought with the person, and used the money that I got given to buy a Logitech G29 and a PlaySeat Evolution racing simulator, and then of course I got F1 2017 prior to that, and then just initially as a joke, I remember going into an online lobby and just getting taken out time and time again, and just got so frustrated that I jokingly said to both Alex and Mackenzie that we need to make a league, or I'm going to find a league. And initially AOR was a bit too out of my time frame. I'm a hard worker at my job, so tending to try and stay up till like 10 o'clock at night to race online doesn't sound like my idea of getting a good night's sleep for the next day, especially if you don't win or you get taken out or something like that, and you just stew upon it all night. So AOR was a little bit out of the question. I'd heard some things about ASR and PRL, and they weren't exactly the greatest things. So I went to the Codemasters forum. I remember saying, I want to join a league that's affiliated in Australia or New Zealand around blah 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 time, and that kind of things. Mostly, preferably on the weekends, because I do work Monday to Friday. And if I don't hear anything back, I'll make my own one. So it would have been about 2 days later, I decided, well, I haven't heard anything back, I'll make one. So I just got a set standard of rules. I made a 10 track calendar. I made a post on Codemasters about it, and probably about a couple of days later, Axel came into the frame, and then they just started coming one by one. But the part, I suppose, that was the most interesting was we started the pre-season testing, with probably about 7 people, maybe 8, and it probably didn't go quite the way that the people there would have expected. Of course, I took the pre-season testing victory honours, and then went to not win a single race that time into, but it was amazing for one part that we went to Hungary, which was round 1, with only 6 people in the race, and then moved to Singapore, which was the last race of the weekend of the season, to have, I think it was either 15 or 16, and that to that date, that was the most amount of people that we'd had in the history of which was back then the Trans-Tasman challenge. It's had 3 changes in the course of its inception, but the league organisation is known as the TNC, which is a Trans-Nation Committee, and we're now dubbed the Trans-Nation Formula 1 World Championship. So it's been a long ride along the way, and it's like, we had 15 people come into the last race of the championship. Of course, we had Noah and David Week, the 2 fastest drivers on the PS4 leaderboards in the category, and it was quite tough to try and beat them and whatnot, and it was motivation, if anything, but we had 15 people, and then you only have to look at what's happened in the course of this season. I mean, our last race at Bahrain, the F2 category had 19 drivers. We were 1 car short of a full lobby, so it was it's really amazing to have all this stuff come along so rapidly in the course of such a small frame of mind. I mean, AOR probably had a much bigger upbringing than just one person, I would imagine. So to me, and I don't always take the credit for everything that I do. I've got other people behind the scenes doing various different things. I've got it's a collective effort, but it's just amazing that at the end of a year we've got 50 plus drivers, 3 categories, and the possibility of evolving even further. I mean, we've already tried expanding into different games, which, much like the first season of the Formula 1 season for us, it's a bit rocky, very little in the way of attendance, but, it's only 16 in Gran Turismo Sport, so, getting those kind of numbers aren't too hard. But when you have to fill 20 cars for 3 categories, it's a little tricky, and we kind of learnt that the hard way with last season, having a select number in F1, and then the rest being more in GP2 and GP3. And this season we made sure that F1 and F2 were both full before we focused on creating an F3, and it's just an amazing feeling to have 50 or 60 people wanting to go racing on the day specified. It's been a long road. There's been a lot of heartache. There's been a lot of anger, sweat and tears, and all that kind of stuff. That it's like a business. It's basically like running a business. And personally, I think if it wasn't for those people, in particular the committee members, my partner Shannon, my parents, and people like Mackenzie and Alex, who motivate me to keep doing this every day. There's some days where I just kind of wish I could just drop everything, say that's it, we're done, sort of thing, and go about your merrily ways, do whatever you want to. But that's just part of the business. It's like a lot of people don't understand what it's like to operate these kind of things. They think a lot of people believe it's just a game and that you don't profit from anything like this on a day-to-day basis. But it's it's a game. We play a game online for a set period of hours of time, but it's a business. It's yes, we're not getting money for it yet, but we're trying to get noticed by these big organizations. We're trying to get noticed by potential sponsors, and we're just trying to make a living for ourselves. It's not like we're doing this because we want to, or we're not. Some of us aren't exactly doing this because we want to be jobless bums, or we don't want to do a decent works job or anything like that, and we just want to play video games all day. This, some of this kind of stuff is, you got the likes of Markiplier doing his thing. You've got Tim McMartick doing his thing. You've got Rooster Teeth, Achievement Hunter. All these big shot things that probably had the same thing thrown at them. You're playing a game. You're mindlessly commentating over a video that you recorded, but it's a lot more to that than what people talk about. It's not a game. It's a way of life, and that to me is why I'm glad that I've got people that can support me, and not just myself, but support everyone else in the committee, in the championship, in the community itself. Because I've made 60 friends in the space of a year. 60 new friends from different parts of the world: Indonesia, the UK, Germany, France, Italy. Actually, I haven't got someone from Italy yet. If there's any Italians people watching, I wouldn't mind grabbing one of yours. All different parts of the world, even places I've never even heard of until they've actually just registered into the community. But I've made so many new friends, so many people that just want to have fun and play F1 or GT Sport or Friday the 13th. It's not just, we don't just go to a race weekend, do a race and then bugger off until the next one. We actually talk about things. We talk about the actual F1. We talk about other games, we're not just completely 100% fixated on Formula 1. And that's the part that's great about having a community like this, because you're not entirely fixated on what's happening on the weekend for the race or what's going on in actual Formula 1 news. People are diverse. They talk about their lives. They talk about something that happened at school or at university or in their job, or just outside of outside of online gaming. It's great. It's unbelievable. And to think that throughout the year that we've been operating the Trans-Nation Formula 1 Championship, it's kind of hard to explain the feelings behind it. But I've worked so hard. I've probably worked the hardest I've ever done for a project like this, and to see the results of it, to see the videos on YouTube, understandably a little disappointed that the view counts aren't as great and our subscriber rate isn't as big. But I think as we come along, it's going to be so much better. The more people we get in, the more categories we can bring out, the more videos we can produce on a weekly basis. There's a few things that we have done in the past that have kind of fallen off the radar, such as Trans-Nation Superstars, Cards Against Humanity sort of things. The good old laughs and that kind of stuff, and Guy Tasker Moment of Seriousness, Axel Pit Lane Report, things that I wouldn't mind bringing back, but we need to have a bit more focus on those sort of things, and maybe have different people work on different things. So the community is ever expanding, and the committee is doing everything in its power to lighten the workload for me so I can enjoy myself, and things like that. And you know, I've made plenty of sacrifices for this, especially giving up my seat at the top level of the category. You know, it's still quite raw, the emotions behind my decision to step down from F1 to focus on commentating for the F1 and being the boss. It's still not the easiest choice I've made, but when you look at yourself and you know that you're not quick enough to be competitive amongst the faster drivers, and you don't have as much time to practice or hone your skills or find that right setup or strategy to see you through the race, it's tough. And I think, given the circumstances behind it, you know, life has also been a big part of my decision to just back off and focus on commentating the F1, which last year played the back seat in compared to the other two categories. So it's my job now to bring the F1 back to the front, make it the one that everyone wants to watch, although it's still kind of still playing backseat to F2. But you know, and the decision also to race in F2 was just it's just to keep me involved and you know, hone my skills just that little bit, just keep me on, you know, keep me going, make it worthwhile to have all the kit that I have to actually do it. So you know, if I didn't race anymore, I don't think I'd need my wheel and all that kind of stuff. So at least this gives me a reason to hold on to it and still, you know, still have fun and just race against some really very aggressive and competitive people. So you know, I'm honoured and privileged to have won two championships, well, win the first two championships in the first two seasons. And I mean, I wish I could have won more. I could won more races in the F1. You know, possibility of winning races in F2 is still there. But yeah, I mean, the whole point of this is, it's been a year. It's been a long, hard trek to reach where we are now, and hopefully by the time 2 years rolls along, we have more people, the community's bigger, and we might have a much bigger fan base. And I'm hoping that everyone that's watching this appreciates the time and effort that's been done for these videos to be brought out to you guys. We've had a few mistakes in broadcasting standards, and we do deeply apologise for that kind of stuff, but we hope that we can get on top of it as much as we can and provide you guys with some of the best racing online racing can provide. And we hope that you can show your appreciation to what we do by liking our videos and subscribing as well, because the more you guys give us support, the more we can respond with better videos, better coverage, more videos, and the ability to, you know, take anything that you guys say in the comments to heart. And maybe, you know, we're open to suggestions. We're always looking to find ways to make our videos as impressive, better, and all that kind of stuff. And we can't do it without you guys. We need your support more than anything else. So like and subscribe, do whatever you can. Check the Facebook page, check the Twitter account, Instagram. Not that there's much going on there, but you know, as much support as you can for us would be highly appreciative, and it will help us reach 2 years next year, and hopefully by then we'll have more categories, more racing, and more videos. So well, I think this has probably been a very long way of showing appreciation for a 1 year anniversary of the Trans-Tasman Formula 1 World Championship, and hopefully this is one of many videos to come in anniversary stanzas. So thanks for your time, and hope to see you again come France.